Hey guys, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about clenbuterol, how it works within the body, why people use it, abuse it, so on and so forth. But in order to understand clenbuterol better, we first need to look at the actual nervous system, how adrenaline and noradrenaline, otherwise known as epinephrine and norepinephrine, operate and work and function within the body, how it interacts with various organs and tissues. So let's have a look at these two hormones first and foremost. They're both adrenal hormones. So you've got norepinephrine, aka noradrenaline, like I said, and epinephrine, aka adrenaline. Now, they're pretty much identical hormones or identical molecules, whatever you want to refer to them as, aside from one group on either one of them. So you've got a methyl group here, CH, and that pretty much dictates the function of epinephrine or adrenaline. Same thing here is norepinephrine or noradrenaline. You've got this hydrogen atom here, this additional hydrogen atom. So if you see here, you've got the CH group, which is a methyl group, attached to the nitrogen and hydrogen, whereas here you've got the nitrogen, but you've got an additional hydrogen, H2. So these slight variances and differences in the actual molecular structure or the chemical structure of these two almost mirror identical hormones does change the overall function of it a little bit within the body. Now, we jump over here to the nervous system. You've basically got the nervous system and you have a positive stimulation from the nervous system to the sympathetic preganglionic neurons. From here, you see a release as a response of acetylcholine. Now, this binds to either one of two types of nicotinic receptors. You've got the nicotinic receptors on the adrenal medulla, or you've got the nicotinic receptors on the postganglionic adrenergic neurons. Now, these two locations, different places in the body obviously, but they have the same kind of receptor, the one that acetylcholine binds to or positively interacts with. Now from here, as a result, as a product, you get a release of either a combination of noradrenaline and adrenaline, or flat out noradrenaline on its own. Now, what these hormones do is they make their way through the body, and when they get to the effector organs, which are essentially the organs with the alpha and the beta receptors on them, these hormones interact with this and cause a number of physiological side effects, essentially. So what you've got down here are the two types of alpha receptors we have in the body. So we've got alpha 1 receptors and alpha 2 receptors. We've also got the beta receptor class, which is the beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3 receptors. For a long time, it was only postulated that there were beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. However, at a later date, they found beta 3 receptors in the adipocytes, or the fat cells within the body, namely the brown fat. But the interesting thing is, even though the beta 3 receptors are found in the fat tissue, a recent 2018 study found that the beta 1 receptors are most likely the ones that cause an increase in fat thermogenesis, or a lipolytic effect in the body, whereby the body utilizes more of the stored fat and fatty acids as an energy source. So one would rationally think, if you stimulate the beta 3 receptors, being that they are located in the actual fat tissue, that you would see the utilization of the fat as an energy source, but it actually doesn't work like that. It actually is the beta 1 receptors most likely. That's what the 2018 paper postulates, at least. So you find the beta 1 receptors in the heart and the kidneys. So when you get positive stimulation or agonization of the beta 1 receptors, you see an increase in heart rate, contractility. You also see an increase in renin release from the renal system or the kidneys. Then the beta 2 receptors, they're located in the lungs, the muscle, that's both smooth, cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, all that sort of jazz. You got them in the pancreas as well, and that's why you see an increase in insulin sensitivity. So you've got more blood sugar, essentially, or more sugar in the bloodstream, and you've also got a upregulated sensitivity of insulin. Now, like I said, beta 3 receptors, namely found in adipocytes, or the fat cells of the body. They're also found in the bladder, and stimulation of the beta 3 receptors will cause relaxation of the bladder. You'll see a prevention of urination, or a retention of the content of the bladder. The alpha 1 receptors located in the eyes, the bladder, liver, and the kidneys. The alpha 2 receptors, they're located in various nerve endings. You got them in the pancreas, and you see a decrease in insulin sensitivity when the alpha 2 receptors are stimulated, or positively stimulated, I should say, agonized. Now, norepinephrine and epinephrine, obviously, their role is to essentially interact with the effector organs and cause these functions. Where the beta-2 adrenergic agonist drug class come in, aka where clenbuterol and its other sister-like drugs come in, is that they are ideally designer drugs to agonize a specific receptor, not a specific class of receptors, not just like the alpha receptors or the beta receptors, but a specific beta receptor. The beta-2 adrenergic agonists are designed to agonize or positively stimulate the beta-2 receptors, which are obviously, like I said, found in the lungs, muscle, pancreas, and uterus. But the problem is that not all beta-2 adrenergic agonists are created equally. Some are more efficacious or more effective than others. Like for example, you've got clenbuterol, which is very commonly used by bodybuilders, physique athletes, bikini competitors, so on and so forth, and even performance athletes that are looking to increase their oxygenation of the body, I suppose. They stack that with things like boldenone, or otherwise known as equipoise. But the problem with clenbuterol is, even though it's a beta-2 adrenergic agonist class drug, it also stimulates the beta-1 receptors, which, I mean, it kind of helps, and it's the reason why bodybuilders see such a high level of success when it comes to utilizing it for a fat loss phase and attaining muscle. There are some unknown mechanisms whereby clenbuterol is actually anabolic. They're still looking into how that actually occurs, but we do know it has an anabolic effect. I have my own theories, although I'm not going to say them because there isn't really any validity in them. Because we know clenbuterol, even though it is a beta-2 adrenergic agonist, it also agonizes beta-1 receptor. It makes sense why people see a lot of anecdotal success with using that drug. And when we look at the comparison of the effects of clenbuterol and salbutamol, salbutamol is another beta-2 adrenergic agonist. It is far more direct at the beta-2 receptor. It does not agonize the beta-1 receptor. However, it doesn't have as strong of a binding affinity at the beta-2 receptor either. So even though clenbuterol binds stronger to the beta-2 receptor, salbutamol is more direct. So there's kind of pros and cons to both of these drugs. If you're wanting something that more directly agonizes the beta-2 receptor, then salbutamol, based off of the current literature we have, is the more suitable or appropriate choice. If you're looking for agonization of the beta-2 and the beta-1 receptors, then clenbuterol is your drug. So what are the actual repercussions of agonizing the beta-1 receptors, aside from getting fat loss or an upregulation in the utilization of fat tissue in the body as an energy source? Well, because they're located in the heart, primarily in the kidneys, you can see a degradation or a decrease in overall renal health and function, and also cardiac health and heart function over time. So it's the reason why you see hypertrophying or enlargement of the muscle fibers in the heart. So that's essentially where clenbuterol fits into the bigger picture. But there are some noteworthy side effects to mention which are important to consider. And it's why everybody should heed on the side of caution if they're going to actually play with these classes of drugs, because things like anxiety can be induced, not just short-term but long-term irreversible anxiety, and PTSD can be a direct side effect of running clenbuterol. Now, why is that? Well, you think about what hormones it's essentially mimicking within the body. Like it's essentially mimicking what adrenaline and noradrenaline do when they interact with these receptors. And PTSD is a side effect of the long-term upregulation of adrenaline and noradrenaline in the body, constantly stimulating the individual so that they're in a constant fight or flight state. It's the reason why soldiers, when they come back from war, they have PTSD. It's not a case of them taking clenbuterol, obviously, but because they're in such a dangerous, hostile environment 24/7, where there's bombs going off, there's bullets flying everywhere, it's a very high stress environment, and the body physiologically isn't designed to withstand that for prolonged periods of time. And as a result, it essentially modifies your physiology to a degree. A way that you can make clenbuterol safer is obviously running it with a beta-1 blocker. That will blockade the beta-1 receptors, make it more of a direct beta-2 adrenergic agonist. Because it agonizes beta-2 receptors stronger than salbutamol, hypothetically you're going to see a stronger agonization overall of the beta-2 receptors than you would with salbutamol, without the beta 1 agonization. However, it's worth mentioning that at the end of the day, these drugs are illegal without a script. If you do not have a script, you shouldn't be using them. But I think it's important to understand the mechanism whereby these drugs actually work and interact with the body at a physiological level. So that is clenbuterol essentially, or at least the mechanism of clenbuterol. Okay guys, now that concludes episode 1 of hopefully many of the new series which will be available on my YouTube channel right here, called the Enhanced Bodybuilding Science series. So if you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content in the future, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification button too, so you actually get notified when I release and upload new videos. Furthermore, if you'd like to help me out even more, leaving a comment really improves my chances of being recommended in the feeds of other people watching videos similar to the content that I produce, and it helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm in terms of growing my channel and increasing my reach to people all around the world. So I highly encourage you to leave a comment down below letting me know what you enjoyed about the video, or that you just simply enjoyed the video. If there's any ideas for future content or any drugs, hormones, compounds that you'd like me to cover in future episodes of this series, please don't forget to let me know down in the comment section below as well. Furthermore guys, if you'd like to see more content in the future, if you'd like to see more episodes of this series, and if you'd like to see more vlogs, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell notification button too, so you actually get notified for the content that I create. And with that said guys, I'll wrap up with a little quick disclaimer. Even though I started the video with one, I just want to clarify that I'm not a medical professional. This is not medical advice to you as an individual or anyone that you know of. This is purely generic information that can be found and extrapolated from any research paper found on the internet worldwide. It is freely available information to everybody if you're willing to dig enough. I do not encourage the use of illegal drugs, substances, or anabolic steroids for that matter. And I encourage you to familiarize yourself with the laws of your land and make sure that you are not breaking the law. So I hope that you enjoyed the video guys. I hope you found it useful, informative, and hopefully this has made you want to avoid using this substance. At the end of the day, we live in a free world, and what you do is none of my business. What I do is none of your business. And at the end of the day, I just want people to be safe. That is my top priority. With that said guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in future episodes.